Time now for weather with Al Dutcher. And Al, we had a cold snap earlier this week. Not as frigid right now, though. What's in the forecast for the next several days?
Well, Troy, we did see the cold air come in. Thankfully, it only lasted a couple days, and most of it moved off toward the east of us. Western Nebraska warmed up during the middle of the week. Eastern Nebraska took an extra day. But overall, as we got to the end of this week, we've seen some very warm conditions start to develop, and we're looking at a fairly decent weekend into the early part of next week before we turn our attention to a storm pattern developing as we get into the midweek period and later. In terms of the harvest activity, we were fortunate with the system that came through on Sunday and Monday. We essentially had about a maximum of 2 inches reported in numerous locations in northeast, central, and in the Panhandle. Most water equivalency were in that 0.10 of an inch or less. We did have some isolated reports of 1,500 to 2,500 of liquid equivalent moisture, so nothing really spectacular. And we're in much better shape than the counterparts to our east, which received some very significant snowfall with this system, particularly in southern Michigan, northern Illinois, and southern Wisconsin. Nothing like that is in the forecast immediately, but we will keep our attention to a storm system late next week that has the potential to generate some ugly conditions, at least some portions of the Corn Belt. As we look at today, we have a trough that is moving through the state. It started to move to western Nebraska this morning, and by this afternoon it will move to eastern Nebraska. It will bring a slight cool down in temperatures tomorrow, but overall today should be a very nice day as low pressure stacks up in eastern Nebraska and the Texas Panhandle. There's just no moisture to work with this system, so it's going to be a dry frontal boundary passage. We are still going to be well above normal. By tomorrow, that trough strengthens as it moves to the east. Another piece of energy tries to round the ridge to the west. In between, we're going to see a slight cool down, about 5 degrees across the state in terms of our temperatures, but overall, we can't complain about the day, considering that just to the east of us, we're going to be seeing snowfall and accumulating snowfall up in the Great Lakes region. On Monday, this energy moves around the top of this ridge, bringing us basically cloud cover, but not much in the way of any significant moisture as low pressure forms over southeastern portions of Missouri, and then helps feed the moisture well to our east and to our north, bypassing the Central Plains. On Tuesday, the ridge starts to rebuild, so we see warmer conditions starting to develop western Nebraska, and that will spread eastward as we go into Wednesday. So we could be looking at some 60s across the Panhandle and southwestern Nebraska. And most of the precipitation, once again, stays well to our east. Northeast Nebraska would be in line for some flurry activities at the closest. On Wednesday, the trough builds in the Central Rockies and brings a ridge to the eastern portion of the state, bringing warm temperatures to the east. Low pressure forms southwestern Kansas. That's going to help to funnel moisture up. We start to see a convergence of that moisture in the northern Rockies, and as that system progresses, it starts to lose a little bit of its punch momentarily as we see low pressure in the Big Bend region and in south central portions of Iowa. This is going to start to fill in moisture across portions of eastern Texas up to eastern Kansas. The question is, will it make it up into our region? And by Friday, that first system moves rapidly to our east, and another system starts to move across our region with another low pressure developing in the Texas Panhandle, bringing moisture up into our region. And the question is, will this moisture convergence be farther to the west, or will this be the exact placement? And if this is the exact placement, we're in pretty good shape. If this shifts a little bit farther to the west, it's going to be very stormy across south central and southeastern Nebraska. Further out, 8 to 14 day forecast keeps us in above normal temperatures. And in terms of precipitation, as that stormy pattern continues, we're probably going to see another wave that will impact our region early in the period.